It is week number 5 in the National Football League. The Cleveland Browns head to Baltimore to take on the division rival Ravens. Welcome to the Doghouse, your inside look at the Cleveland Browns. I'm Andy McNamara alongside Browns insider from WKYC Sports in Cleveland, Matt Florjancic. We're going to break down this week's game. Can the Browns finally get back on track and put a W in the win column there this Sunday in Baltimore? We'll get to your tweets at AndyMC81, at Matt Florjancic in the Bark-Off a little bit later in the show. We'll swing around the AFC North as well and check out the Pittsburgh Steelers and Cincinnati Bengals matchups. Don't forget, we have a free app. If you have an Android device, go to Google Play. Just type in The Doghouse, D-A-W-G, so The Doghouse. You can pick that up for free. Subscribe to us on iTunes. Find us on Spreaker.com, Podomatic.com. And again, hit us up on Twitter at AndyMC81 and at Matt Florjancic. Matt, you ready for Sunday? You ready for some actual football?
I think I'm more ready than his team is. They seem more content to talk about what happened last Sunday with Trayvon Williams. It's been far too long. 5 days have passed. Time to put that stuff to bed and focus on the Ravens, and I feel like they haven't done a very good job of addressing that in the media.
Matt, that's a great point, because it was Thursday. It was Thursday, and Trayvon Williams finally came out, and you were in the locker room. They said, all right, that's enough of this. A cornerback should not be saying this. You know who should be addressing this? Mike Pettin. So you have coming out the offside call, which may or may not have been. Maybe the Browns got an apology or not. I don't really care if the league apologized because it's still a loss. Then, Pettin talked a little too negatively about Joe Hayden. All right, well, that drags on for 2 or 3 days. What happened to Bill Belichick last year? Lose terribly to Cincinnati. What did he say, Matt? On to Cincinnati. Wait. I have one more question. I have one more question, Mr. No, on to Cincinnati. On to Cincinnati. He kept saying that. They even made a rap song to it, Matt. They made a rap song to On to Cincinnati, and it was hilarious. But guess what happened? The next day, everybody knew they weren't going to talk about it. They went on to Cincinnati, and they beat the Bengals.
It's the difference between good teams and teams that are trying to get good, is that this team doesn't understand how to win. It doesn't understand how to be good. It doesn't understand how to act professionally. And that's really sad because they have a bunch of veterans who have been around for a very long time, and they just don't know what winning is. They don't know what a winning culture is. And truthfully, when a guy like Trayvon Williams has to come out and say, hey, that's over with, let's move on, that means they still don't get it. This team does not get what a winning culture is. No. I know Mike Pettin was to back-to-back AFC championship games as a D coordinator for the New York Jets, but, that's not a winning culture because it failed miserably. He went to Buffalo, didn't have much success there either. The bulk of his success came with the Baltimore Ravens, and that was a very, very, very long time ago, almost over a half a decade now. And they don't understand. This team does not understand. I mean, you're complaining about stuff on Wednesday and Thursday that should have been addressed on Monday and Sunday night. That's the difference between teams that win and teams that lose.
Yeah, and this is going to be an extremely tough matchup. Both teams 1-3. So this is battle for the bottom of the AFC North. And really, Matt, coming into the second quarter of the season, this is a defining moment for both teams. I think probably more so for the Cleveland Browns because, heck, if you have a quarterback like Joe Flacco, you always have a chance. Now, the Ravens really banged up, just like, the San Diego Chargers last week or the Oakland Raiders the week before. That doesn't seem to matter. But they're banged up. You had Justin Forsett, who had his one of his breakout games against the Cleveland Browns last year, finally went out for 150-plus yards. And Joe Flacco, Matt, each year it gets more and more depressing. Joe Flacco is 13-1 career against the Browns, and Cleveland has not won in Baltimore since 2007. The record, throw it away. This is going to be an extremely tough matchup. I don't care who's playing or is injured for the Ravens.
If the Browns are thinking that this is going to be a Ravens squad that looks different than in past years, look, the names have changed, but the attitude hasn't.
Yeah.
This is a team that still is physical as hell. They go out there, they pound on you, they pound on you, they pound on you, and then when you think they're done pounding on you, they hit you again. This team is relentless. They pursue the football. They run the football well. They have a good quarterback. Not saying he's at that elite level, but I'm not sure that the Ravens need him to play at an elite level for them to win all the time. And I just look at it and say they're what the Browns hope to be. They're what the Browns are shooting for, but they're not what the Browns are right now. The Browns are in a completely different mindset at 1-3. They're on the downslope after losing 2 straight. The Ravens on the uptick after having a good, game against the Steelers. They're only a couple plays away from being 3-1. Truthfully, if you take a knucklehead penalty away against the Raiders and a late penalty against the Bengals away, this Ravens team could be 3-1. Sure. Completely different mindset for both teams.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And when you look at how, and it's so tough to go back, Matt, because you said that's what this team wants to be. Well, if Art Modell didn't move them, it's what this team would be. It would be the Cleveland Browns instead of the Baltimore Ravens. But we can't do anything about that. But with Joe Flacco and with John Harbaugh, the success they've had against this team, and it's Flacco who's coming into his own a little bit, Josh McCown, who we look back, had a great week, but again, in a losing cause. Matt, I just want to take a quick sidestep here. And let's say Josh McCown comes out, again has let's say a good game, but the Browns lose. And then has another good game, okay game, but the Browns lose. At what point then do you have to say, okay, well, that's fun, but he's 36. Our future is not with him. Although he's playing okay to good, but we're not winning, we have to make that change. Does that come when the season is 1-6, 1-7?
Well, it depends on how much they're losing by, too. If they're losing close, like 3 to 10 points, I think he stays in there. Because I think they truthfully believe that Josh McCown gives them the best chance to win. And if they're 1-6, 1-7, or even worse, I still think he's going to play if he's healthy, as long as they're losing close games, because they view, as crazy as this sounds, a team that went 7-9 last year, they almost believe that playing close enough to win and being within one score of your team is good enough to say, well, we had a chance and we were close and it's not all Josh's fault that we lost. And all that would be true, but that's a losing mentality. Like, damn it, punch it over the goal line and get some points. Yeah.
Wow, so that would be good enough. You know who won't be good enough for? Owner Jimmy Haslam. Because I think if this team gets anything less than 7 wins next year, and especially if they are a dumpster fire as they typically have been historically in December, whatever Jimmy said or not at the beginning of the year about jobs being safe, they're gone. They're gone, Matt. Like, this is ridiculous. We're talking Justin Gilbert being transitioned possibly to a wide receiver. Like, that desperation's a stinky cologne, my friend. Like Ray Farmer and his picks at his draft picks, and we haven't even gotten to Dwayne Bowe and his 1 target, 0 catches on the year for $9 million. Like, both these guys
I'm going to address Justin Gilbert right now.
Okay.
Ray Farmer has said on multiple occasions, I do not like drafting wide receivers, especially high in the draft, because they only affect the game 10 plays. Out of all the plays that are run, 60 or more in a typical game by an offense, he believes they only impact 10 plays. Here's my counter to that. A.J. Green affects every play that he's on the field.
100%.
Without question, you have to have a safety paying attention to A.J. Green, because if you let him go one-on-one, he's going to burn you. Now, my other counterpoint to that argument about not drafting wide receivers because of their impact, you're transitioning Justin Gilbert into being a kick returner and potentially being a wide receiver because he has good ball skills. A kick returner doesn't even impact a game 10 times a game, because you know what? There's these things called touchbacks, and the percentages of touchbacks to kickoffs are pretty damn high right now, because you moved it up 5 yards and people aren't bringing it out 8, 9, 10 yards deep anymore. That doesn't happen. So you spent the number 8 overall pick on a guy that can impact the game 3 times at a maximum. And then you have your assistant coaches go ahead and say, yeah, we tried him out on defense a couple plays, and then we're like, yeah, we really got to go back to Batamosi and go back to our initial plan. Because basically that tells me that somebody threw the headset off in the coach's booth and said a few expletives, and it's like, man, get him the hell off the field. He is not ready to play defense yet.
How can he not be ready?
I don't understand how you can say that a wide receiver only impacts the game 10 times and then spend a number 8 overall pick on a kid who can't even get on the field. He is getting beaten out by an undrafted free agent and a 4th-round draft pick. There's something wrong with your strategy. If you're going to say that you can't have an impactful player 10 times out of the game from a wide receiver, and that's why you don't spend a pick on him, you shouldn't have spent a pick on Justin Gilbert or Johnny Football, because neither one of them are having any impact for you at any level at any time on their side of the respective football.
Oh, except for Justin Gilbert bumping into Travis Benjamin to help him muff the punt in the Oakland game. That's the wrong type of impact, though. That's the other side.
I understand he had a good day returning kickoffs against the Chargers.
Who cares?
But ordinarily, he's not going to get 3 opportunities to return a kickoff in a game. It just doesn't happen anymore.
No, you're absolutely right. It doesn't happen. And you know what? I'm not interested in what Justin Gilbert does on kick return unless he starts taking him back for touchdowns. He comes out, takes one back to the house. Maybe I'm a little more interested. Otherwise, take the touchback, play it safe, because our luck, you'll get hit and fumble it or something like that. Now, some positives, Matt. Some positives out of last week's game. The defense, atrocious. The offense marched down and looked good, except I still feel there were 2 red zone drives that they ended up going for field goals for that really should have been punched in, and that needs to be addressed. But Duke Johnson, and I don't know if maybe that hamstring is finally at 100%, but this guy started to look like the impact player we were delivered on draft day. He's an offense changer. This 3rd-round pick in the first few weeks we're watching, like, where's the explosiveness? Well, 31 rushing yards, average, I believe it was 5 yards per carry, and 85 yards on 9 receptions with a gorgeous touchdown, a 34-yarder where he dove out, laid out, kept his feet in bounds. Hey, if this can be a building point, Duke Johnson looks pretty special right now.
Yeah, he does, and we'll see if he's able to continue it. Consistency and continuity are key for this young man right now. He's finally looking healthy. Let's see if he can continue doing what he did against San Diego. He didn't look out of place catching the football.
No.
That was a wide receiver level catch right there.
That
was ridiculously good. And it was nice to see out of the young man because we hadn't seen much because he's always been injured. So to see him finally start to come around and to play the game the way that the Browns expect him to play is a good sign. I still don't think that a 3rd-round draft pick is going to be the answer to your offense, but he sure looked good when he was given the chance.
Sure, and he's just one guy. Now maybe he continues to improve and becomes somebody that opposing defenses have to keep an eye on all the time. That would be ideal because right now we don't have anybody like that. Maybe Travis Benjamin over the top, and that's a Baltimore defense with a depleted secondary that maybe Josh McCown can try to exploit. But again, we haven't seen the real good touch on the long ball. Somebody who also stepped up for another week, Matt. How about Gary Barnidge? Big play Gary. Getting a 2-point conversion, a touchdown. This guy's becoming a target at 6'6".
You know, Gary's a fun dude to be around because he really just takes whatever comes his way, and he doesn't complain. And he's just a happy-go-lucky kind of dude. Just answers questions very flatly, very plainly, very simple and to the point. There's not a lot of sugar and spice to Gary. He's just a guy that's going to do the dirty work and occasionally get rewarded for it. And that's why Josh McCown loves him because he knows. Just like with Brian Hartline running a route, if you call a play and you give Gary an assignment, Gary's going to get the job done 100 times out of 100. He's going to be in the right spot. And that's why he's getting love from the quarterback right now and getting those passes because the quarterback knows he's going to be in the right spot. It's not like a wide receiver running a crazy pattern and going on the fly route when he's supposed to go on a hitch route. It's not that with Gary. Gary's always in the right spot at the right time. And that's why McCown has been able to utilize him as such a good weapon.
You're listening to the Doghouse, your inside look at the Cleveland Browns. I'm Andy McNamara, alongside Browns insider from WKYC Sports in Cleveland, Matt Florjancic. Send us your thoughts on this week's game. Score prediction